manage emotions. So
I
it is
just
nine
wanted to
o'clock.
mention, I'm sorry, Darnay, before we get started, just let everyone know that I will be recording the session. Okay.
Okay.
I just started the recording. Sorry. Thank you.
No worries. So it's 9 o'clock on the dot. So we'll get started. And again, welcome and thank you for inviting me, this morning to talk to you about conflict resolution. During the presentation, we will define what is conflict, look at some basics of conflict. We will also look at rules to manage conflict, known as the commandments or the 10 commandments of conflict resolution. We will discuss healthy versus unhealthy conflicts, tools to manage conflict. We'll talk a little bit about stress and emotional awareness in terms of managing and handling conflicts. And what we will be discussing today can apply to, adults and children alike. So I wanted to start out with this short video that I had found as I was researching and putting this presentation together. I felt that this video was a good illustration of what we will be discussing today. So I hope everyone enjoyed that video, but, let's start out with, conflict is defined as a fight, battle, or struggle, especially a prolonged struggle or strife. So let's talk a little bit about, what is conflict? Conflict is a normal part of life and is even a healthy part of a relationship. Conflicts can occur within families, between siblings, parents, friends, and even in society in general. Two people can't be expected to agree on everything at all times. And conflicts are inevitable, but it does not have to be negative. Learning to deal with them in a healthy way is critical. When a conflict is managed badly, it can harm the relationship you have with your friends, family, and the larger community, depending on what type of conflict it is. But when a disagreement or a conflict is handled in a respectful and positive way, conflict provides an opportunity for growth. So let's talk about a little bit about why conflicts happen. Can someone tell me, what may cause a conflict or why, conflicts happen?
Miscommunication.
Miscommunication, yes, definitely. And that's one of the, I guess, number one, one of the big ones. Anyone
Probably,
else?
probably also because at times we all think that we're right at one point.
Exactly. We all want to be right or get our point across. So yeah, two good ones there. But conflict, arises from differences. It occurs whenever people disagree over their values, motives, perceptions, ideas, or even their wants and desires. And sometimes these differences look unimportant, but when a conflict triggers strong feelings, a deep personal and social need is at the core of the problem. A need to feel safe and secure, a need to feel respected and valued, or a need for greater closeness and understanding. There are many reasons that conflict may arise between you or your friends, family, sibling, significant other. Some examples are jealousy, poor communication skills, lack of consideration, different values or a different way of looking at life or a situation. And, arguments or conflicts may result from experiencing a bad day or other issues that have nothing to do with the actual other person. Some other reasons for conflicts include difference in personalities. Whenever a lot of different and unique people come together, there are bound to be differences in thinking and acting, which can cause conflict, misunderstandings or misinterpretation of something, poor communication, such as misinformation or having a lack of information and taking someone's comments out of context, not the way that you perceive it, not the way that they intended it to come across. A perceived unfairness, when someone feels as if they are not receiving equal treatment. And, again, difference in values. When people don't recognize, understand, or accept differences in others, conflicts can arise. In our society today, where there seems to be a lot of divisions, it's even more critical to honor the differences between one another and focusing on the shared goals you and others may have. So let's look further at what actually is conflict. A conflict is more than just a disagreement. It is a situation in which one or both individuals perceive a threat, whether or not the threat is real or misunderstanding something. Conflict continues to fester when ignored. Because conflicts involve perceived threats to our well-being, they stay with us until we face and resolve them. We respond to conflicts based on our perceptions of a situation, not necessarily to an objective review of the facts, but how we see things or how we perceive things are influenced by our life experiences, culture, values, and beliefs. And we see things and situations, through these lenses. Conflicts trigger strong emotions. If you aren't comfortable with your emotions or able to manage them in times of stress, you won't be able to resolve conflict successfully. And conflicts are an opportunity for growth. When you're able to resolve a conflict in a relationship, it builds trust between you and the other person. You can feel secure knowing your friendship or relationship can survive challenges and disagreements. So, how do we deal with conflicts? So, let's look at the 10 most important skills to manage conflicts, and these commandments, which some people refer to them as the 10 commandments of conflict resolution, are skills that can help you, your child, your student, family members, not just deal with conflict, but with life in general. So, commandment 1, conflict is a reality, and we have to accept that. There is no escaping that fact, and hiding won't solve anything. 2, you can't wish the problem away. Don't pretend and put a mask on or try to hide. Keeping your feelings locked up inside won't work. 3, learn to deal with the problem and not the person. Conflict occurs because of a particular issue, not because of a person. So don't make or take it personally. 4, be respectful. Listen to the other person, and you really want to listen. Listening to your parents, your friends, siblings, partners may seem like a struggle, but zoning out is not the solution. 5, be assertive. You don't need to be either passive or aggressive. Being assertive means basically putting your views forward confidently and calmly. 6, learn to negotiate. And this is, I feel, one of the most important skills that you would need to learn. Negotiation is a skill that will serve you in the long run. Commandment number 7, stick to the present, the here and now. Don't drag in past issues. Doing so will only muddy the conflict further. 8, the silent treatment doesn't work. Sulking is as bad as getting aggressive. It won't solve the problem. Talk it out calmly. If you don't feel as if it can be discussed calmly, ask someone to mediate. 9, be understanding. Try to put yourself in the other person's shoes. Don't get defensive and analyze the situation. Once we start to get defensive, we start to build up walls, which prevents us from really listening to the other person. And commandment number 10, learn to say sorry. This sometimes can be the hardest thing for us to do. And, we need practice with it. So, sometimes, just standing in front of the mirror and practicing saying sorry, can help prepare us for this. If we're wrong or if you're wrong, just accept it. And this simple word of saying, I'm sorry, can, work like magic in resolving conflict. So now that we have reviewed the commandments of conflict resolution, let's discuss healthy versus unhealthy conflict. So when you engage in a healthy or positive conflict, ideally, you're able to verbalize your needs and wants and mutually work out compromises. The objective should be to resolve a dispute to the satisfaction of both parties involved. It's not about winning or losing. You can win an argument, but the relationship may suffer if your partner or the other person feels disconnected, deflated, resentful. Planning when, where, and how you approach a disagreement is important for achieving positive results. It's helpful to make up rules of engagement, so to speak, in advance. And let's discuss some do's and don'ts of conflict resolution. You won't be able to achieve all of them all the time, but there are guidelines to strive for. So you do want to make it okay to agree to disagree. You don't have to agree on everything. Try to accept differences, that don't violate your values. You want to have time limited discussions and stick to the preset time. meaning if you're, going into a discussion or a conflict, you do want to put some time limits, on it. Like, you know what, let's talk about this for 20 minutes, take a break, and then come back to it if need be. It's something that you don't want to have it go on and on and on and just continue indefinitely. You want to work through things as they come up. Don't store resentments. Otherwise, each delay becomes a roadblock to the next communication because you're constantly thinking about, or, you're holding grudges against what happened before in the past instead of concentrating on what's going on, right here, now in the present. Remember to maintain goodwill by separating the person you care about from the behavior. Assume he or she is doing their best and isn't, hurting you or trying to hurt you intentionally. You want to take responsibility for your behavior, needs, and feelings. Use I statements to share your feelings and thoughts about yourself. This doesn't include, I feel you're inconsiderate, or, I feel that, you are such a horrible person. Instead say, I feel unimportant to you, or I feel, not heard by you. Examine what unmet needs are making you angry or upset. With I statements, be direct and honest about your feelings and needs in the relationship or partnership. Listen with curiosity, again, listening, that active listening and really listening. So listen with curiosity and a desire to understand your partner or the other person involved and to see the world through their eyes. When you don't understand, ask for clarification. Remember that the other person is telling you his or her experience. It reveals the truth about them, not you. You're free to disagree, but first see where the other person is coming from. And this goes back to listening and empathizing with the other person. You want to use a we approach. We have a problem, not my problem with you is. Rather than demand your way, brainstorm solutions, work together, request the other person's input, especially when it comes to changing, his or her or their behavior. Take a time out. If you start to get angry, this allows you to calm down and stop reacting. You want to reassure the other person that you will resume the conversation once you have calmed down. And, communicate your fears and guilt in the relationship. So, those were some do's of conflict resolution. So now, let's go over some don'ts in conflict resolution. You, don't have controversial discussions when you're tired. When we're all tired, we can't think straight, sometimes, or at least I know that I can't. And, we may say things that, we may later regret. Don't make accusations or use words such as always or never. Those are words, always and never. When individuals typically hear those words, they start to build up walls and become defensive. Don't bring in allies or other people's opinions. And, don't make comparisons to others. Don't switch topics or retaliate, but, you did this. Again, stay in the present moment. And you want to, address the person as to, how can we have a problem? How can we solve this conflict? Don't judge, blame, belittle, or be sarcastic or dismissive in words or even facial expressions, such as rolling your eyes or smirking. Don't expect your partner or the other person to be able to read your mind. So you need to be open and honest about what it is that you're thinking, what you're feeling, and what you're having an issue with. Don't analyze your partner or input motives or feelings onto him or her. Don't interrupt or monopolize the conversation. You know, you want to listen and you want to make sure that the other person feels heard and value, and also vice versa. You know, that person needs to be able to listen to you and you know, what you're saying, and make sure that they're hearing what it is that you're saying to them. Don't react or defend yourself. Instead, communicate your point of view. Don't bring up the past. Again, staying in the moment. And you don't want to Rolodex, you know, grievances, so to speak. You know, stick to the current one. You don't need more evidence that you're right and your partner, you know, is wrong. Again, you know, once that those words come out or that thinking starts to shift in that direction, you know, people start to put up their walls, become defensive, and then nothing that you say will get through to them, or they won't be able to hear what it is that you're saying. And don't compromise your bottom line in the relationship. If they're not negotiable or non-negotiable, it will only lead to more conflict later. So, is everyone with me so far? Any comments at this time?
Excellent information. Thank you so far.
Okay, all right. So, you know, thank you for that. Having good conflict resolution skills are some of the most beneficial skills that can be learned. And part of having good conflict resolution skills is being able to recognize and manage your emotions. So, you know, recognizing and managing your emotions involves emotional awareness. You know, and emotional awareness is the key to understanding yourself and others. Many people try to ignore strong emotions such as anger or sadness or fear. But if you don't know how you feel or why you feel that way, you won't be able to understand your own needs or communicate them effectively to soothe over or to smooth over disagreements. Additionally, when you're in control of your emotions, you can communicate your needs without threatening, fighting, or punishing others. Anger management is particularly important to being able to resolve conflicts in a healthy way. People who do a good job of managing emotions or their emotions know that it's healthy to express their feelings, but that it matters how and when they express them. You know, because of this, they are able to react to situations in productive ways. They know they can choose the way they react instead of letting emotions influence them to do or say things they later regret. They have a sense of when it's best to speak out and when it's better to wait before acting on or reacting to what they are feeling. They know that their reaction influences what happens next, including how other people respond to them and the way they feel about themselves. You know, maybe you can think of a time when you didn't manage your reaction, you know, quite, you know, how you wanted to. You know, perhaps anxiety, anger, or frustration got the better of you, and it happens to all of us. But you know, when it does happen, forgive yourself and focus on what you could have done better. Think about what you might do the next time a little differently. You know, fighting fair. The way we approach a conflict has a significant impact on whether it will be resolved in a positive or a negative way. You want to remain calm. If you can't stay calm, take a break for a few minutes. Be respectful. You know, treat the other person the way you want to be treated. And you want to be specific about what is bothering you or what it is that you need. You know, do not attack the other person. You know, no name calling, yelling, hitting. accusing or threatening, and, all of that tends to escalate a situation. Again, use I statements rather than, you statements. For example, I feel hurt when, instead of, you're so mean to me. Don't generalize. Again, avoid words like never or always. Those are the words that, start to bring up our defenses and start to put up walls around us. Avoid exaggerating. Stick with the facts and your honest feelings. Again, stay in the present. Don't bring up other problems you've had in the past, and avoid clamming up. Positive results can only be attained with two-way communication or dialogue. Using active listening. And again, you really want to listen to the other person and try to see the problem from their perspective. Resist the temptation to interpret with your own point of view until the other person has said everything he or she wants to say and feels that you understand his or her message. You want to ask clarifying questions as you listen. Use small encouragements to show you're listening, such as nodding your head. And when the other person is done, restate in your own words what you believe the other person has said, just to, give them the sense that you are listening or you're trying to listen. And, if there's something that you miss, they can always correct you on that. Active listening does not come naturally to any of us, but it is very helpful in resolving conflicts. Work on nonverbal communication skills. Nonverbal communication includes eye contact, facial expression, tone of voice, posture, and gestures. Paying close attention to the other person's nonverbal signals may help you figure out what the other person is really saying. In addition, by using positive nonverbal signals, such as a calm tone of voice or a concerned facial expression, you can potentially diffuse a heated exchange. You want to pick your battles. Conflicts can be draining. So, it's important to consider whether the issue is really worthy of all your time and energy. And if you can, let the small things slide. You will have more peaceful relationships with others, and the people in your life will pay more attention when you are upset about the big things. And, lastly, and I think that this is an important point, is to prioritize the relationship over winning. Many people, many of us enter a conflict with a goal to win. Unfortunately, this only creates more conflict and can ruin a friendship or relationship or partnership. The first step to resolving conflict in a healthy way is to try to understand the other person's point of view so that you can work together to develop a mutually acceptable solution. Everyone involved should be able to share their point of view and outline their needs. Generate a list of possible solutions and choose an option that meets as many needs as possible and is acceptable to all parties. It's really about shifting our mindset from defining the conflict as me against you to you and I against the problem, or you and I, trying to manage or handle this situation. So, like I said before, negotiation skills, it's very important in conflict resolution. So, having good negotiation skills is very important. Negotiation is important because there's no real alternative to resolving conflict peacefully unless you're able to negotiate. And negotiation is the process where two people with different needs and goals discuss an issue to find a mutually acceptable solution. It is a skill, and some people are naturally better at it than others, but it is a skill that can be learned and improved. When a good negotiation is done well, both people feel satisfied with the end result, You know, have you ever heard the saying that a good compromise or negotiation is when both parties don't get everything that they want? You know, one person gets a little bit of what they want, the other person gets a little bit of what they want, and you know that comes out of that becomes a good compromise. Some people think negotiation is only a skill that, you know, a salesman need, but in reality, we all use negotiation in our everyday lives. We must negotiate compromises with family members, friends, neighbors, and even, you know, coworkers. And good negotiation skills will benefit you because good negotiations help build relationships, foster goodwill, deliver quality solutions to problems, and avoid future conflicts. So, you know, here are the key elements of negotiation. One, you want to keep the right attitude. Negotiation is most successful when done respectfully with a focus on understanding everyone's point of view. You must learn good people skills to handle negotiations well, such as, and you know, it's basic skills, treating the other person as you would like to be treated, actively listening to the other person, which means focusing on understanding their point of view or their viewpoint and restating in your own words rather than trying to figure out how to put their ideas down and explain your opinion. You want to speak respectfully. You know, respect is very important, which means no name calling, yelling, blaming, accusing, or threatening. Again, you want to separate the person from the problem. Don't attack the person, but join with the person to tackle the problem as a team or a unit. In other words, shift your mindset from defining the conflict again as me against you to you and I against the problem or the situation. You want to ask open-ended questions in negotiations. You know, good negotiators ask a lot of questions in order to understand exactly what the other person is trying to achieve and what is important to them. You must understand what the other person really wants in order to effectively negotiate. And, you know, silence, you know, in conflict and negotiations, you know, can sometimes be your best friend. You know, sometimes when we're nervous in asking for what we want, we will talk to fill in silences or you know, to fill the gaps, which can sometimes work against us. You know, over explaining yourself makes, you know, makes you or us look less confident. You know, after you've asked the question to determine what the other person wants, you know, make sure you state your wants and your needs in a, you know, concise way, and then stay silent and see what comes out of that silence. You know, and you always want to work towards a win-win outcome. You know, again, skilled negotiators are usually quite concerned about finding a solution or an agreement that is satisfactory to both parties. The ultimate goal of a negotiation is to achieve that win-win outcome. This is when both sides feel that they have gained something positive and that their point of view has been taken into consideration. Most of the time, working towards a mutually acceptable solution through brainstorming, alternative strategies will achieve greater benefit for everyone involved compared to any one person holding on to their position and not trying to see the not trying to compromise or see the position or point of view of the other person. So before we go into stress and, you know, just talk a little bit more about emotional awareness, any questions, any comments at this time? We're all good? Okay. Okay. So stress and emotional awareness, the ability to successfully resolve conflict depends on our ability to manage stress quickly while remaining alert and calm. By staying calm, You can accurately read and interpret verbal and nonverbal communication, control your emotions and behaviors. When you're in control of your emotions, you can communicate your needs without threatening, intimidating, or punishing others. Pay attention to the feelings being expressed, as well as the spoken words of others, and be aware of and respect differences. By avoiding disrespectful words and actions, you can almost always resolve a problem faster. And to successfully resolve a conflict, you need to learn and practice two core skills. The first is quick stress relief. Quick stress relief is being able to manage and relieve stress in the moment. And this is key to staying balanced, focused, and in control, no matter what challenges you faced or what conflict is going on. If you don't know how to stay centered and in control of yourself, you will become overwhelmed in a conflict situation and unable to respond in a healthy or positive way. So how does stress affect conflict resolution? Stress interferes with the ability to resolve conflict by limiting your ability to accurately read another person's body language, hear what someone is really saying, being aware of your own feelings and needs. One of the most reliable ways to rapidly reduce stress is by engaging one or more of your senses. So, sight, sound, taste, smell, touch, or even movement. Some ways in which you can engage your senses and engage in quick stress relief is to, a lot of individuals use stress balls, that they have that they can squeeze to relieve stress, a quick stress relief in the moment. Slow breathing exercises, breathing in for a count of 4, holding for a count of 4, and then exhaling for a count of 4. You know, Giving yourself a hand massage, sometimes that can be, soothing and can relieve stress for you in the moment very quickly. You can count backwards, from 10, all the way back to 1. Taking a quick stretch or a quick walk, can help clear your head, for a minute. So, and help you reduce and relieve stress. Some other ways to manage your stress in the middle of a stressful situation is to pause, close your eyes and take 5 or 4 deep breaths, count to 10, or think through different possible responses to a stressful situation before speaking or reacting. Sometimes, excusing yourself from the situation. Sometimes just removing yourself from a stressful situation and giving yourself the space to think clearly can help diffuse a stressful moment. Being aware, recognize that you are under stress, and identifying that you're stressed can help you adjust your response to that perceived stress, or just to be able to say it and say, you know what, I need to excuse myself for 2 minutes, let me calm down and I'll come back to this situation, or we can further discuss this. Be calm. Try to act and respond in a calm, collected manner, even if you're upset. Staying calm may be more natural and feel less of an act over time the more you do it. Be positive. A positive mindset can be a powerful thing. Instead of focusing on the problem and thinking negative thoughts, put a positive spin on things. Is there a silver lining to this situation? A positive attitude can help you pull out of a stressful moment. You want to choose, joy. And, that may sound, I don't know, it may sound corny, but, think of things that make you happy. A funny memory, your favorite vacation, the most beautiful place that you've ever been can help you in a stressful moment to calm down. And, for a lot of individuals, memorizing a phrase that brings you peace and comfort. It can be your favorite quote from a book, or a movie or a television show, or words of wisdom from a philosopher, or, a Bible scripture. While stress is a normal part of life, it's important to know you can seek help for stress. If you feel like stress is getting in the way and affecting your daily life, you can let your friends know, your counselors know, your teachers know, your partner know. They can help you find, the help and the resources you may need. Another thing to think about when managing conflict is emotional awareness. And emotional awareness is a key factor in resolving conflict. Emotional awareness is awareness of your moment to moment emotional experience, the ability to manage all of your feelings appropriately. It's the basis of a communication process that can resolve conflict. Emotional awareness helps you to understand what is troubling other people and understanding yourself, including what is troubling you. Emotional awareness is the ability to remain comfortable enough with your emotions to react in a constructive way, even in the middle of a perceived attack. Emotional awareness is the key to understanding yourself and others. If you don't know how or why you feel a certain way, you won't be able to communicate effectively or resolve disagreements. Although knowing your own feelings may sound simple, many people ignore or try to sedate their strong emotions like anger or sadness or fear. And your ability to handle conflict depends on being connected to these feelings. If you're afraid of strong emotions, or if you're insist on finding solutions that are strictly rational, your ability to face and resolve difficulties will be limited. And just some final thoughts as we're wrapping up. Too often we assume that for one person to win, the person has to lose. And in reality, it is often possible to think creatively and to come up with a solution that everyone feels good about or comfortable with, where each person walks away feeling that their needs have been met. That is that is the true goal of conflict resolution. And anyone who can master this skill, can be very successful with dealing with conflicts. So I just wanted to show you, these are some resources that I use to put this presentation together. And, again, I just want to say thank you for, listening to me this morning and, allowing me to come and talk to you a little bit about conflict resolution. And, I'll open it up to see if anyone has any comments, any thoughts, any questions at this time.
Darnay, I do want to thank you for your time and your knowledge as well. Parents, I do want to let you know that we do have a collaborative with UTRGV. Darnay is a professional. She's a licensed social worker. So she comes with a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of experience. So this is for you, parents and counselors, for you to get this knowledge and go back and share it with your children or share it with your colleagues. Emulate these strategies that she's giving us, because it is a very stressful time for everyone. And as we get closer to the holidays, that's what we're going to be seeing with our children, with our students. So these are tools for you to take back and use. Are there any questions at this time? I know there was a few comments, and we will share the resource. This is being recorded, and this is going to be on our counselor website. I'm going to stop the recording at this time.